Now before we go into anything, let me also talk about, because in the last lecture we were talking about the notes or maybe the common sense about the anatomy questions, and in that one of the most important that can also be asked is the bones. It can also be very commonly asked. So let's also talk about the bones. If they ask about bones, what are we going to write? What are we going to write? Because bones can also be asked as a very important elective. And today we'll be talking about some of the bones in a 3D animation so that we all can understand and create a picture of the 3D animation. So bones, most common bones that can be asked is the humerus, scapula. They also ask about your radius and ulna. I'm talking about the theory questions. You can also ask about femur. You can also ask about the tibia as well as fibula. Hip bone very less commonly asked. So these bones, and there is a specific way as a common sense about answering the bones. Whenever we are asked about any bones, there is a common sense we can remember how exactly do we answer it. So whenever we come across a bone as an elective, what are we going to write? First important is the location of the bone. In the introduction we can write about the location. Like for example, humerus is the major bone of the arm region. Scapula, it is the major bone which connects the upper limb to the trunk. Or I can say femur is the major bone of the thigh region. Is the thigh region. Second important point we can write about is the parts of the bone. Remember, any long bone is going to have head, neck, shaft and the lower end. Any long bone, humerus has got, radius ulna has got the same thing, femur has got the same thing, tibia fibula has got the same thing. So head, neck, shaft and a lower end, and describe those head, neck, shaft and lower end. Like for example, there are some peculiarities about the humerus ka head, there are some peculiarities about the femur ka head, there are some peculiarities about head, neck, shaft as well as lower limb. That is what we are going to be talking about the later part of this presentation. Third important thing is which are the joints it takes part into. Like upper end takes part into formation of some joint, lower end takes part into formation of some joint. Of course, we don't want joint to be described in a bone, but we need to at least explain that this particular bone takes part into formation of this particular joint. So third point was which are the joints it takes part in. Fourth, if you know embryology about this joint, you can write, otherwise you can just skip that particular point. Fifth important point, which are the muscles which are attached to this particular joint. Which are the muscles which are attached to this particular joint. And sixth important point will be the applied part. And remember, any bone ka applied is a fracture, is a dislocation, or some specific point about this particular bone. So if you describe the bone in this particular manner, it becomes easy to understand. It becomes very easy to understand. So first thing is location, then the parts, they describe those parts, then which are the joints it takes part into. If you know embryology about it, then you can explain about the embryology. Then the muscles which are attached to this particular bone, and then we have finally the applied aspect of this particular joint. Now let's go in the similar way about some bone. Let's say for example, I am going to be talking about some bone right now. We have got some 3D animations which will be helping us to understand it. We have got, yes. So whenever we are talking about any bone, let me first talk about, let's say, as you can see, I am talking about the clavicle right now. So how exactly we are going to discuss the clavicle as a bone. This is what is. You can also download and install some of these applications which are free, and which are also for a limited period they can be free. It depends upon your if you are able to pay for the application, you can pay for it. Otherwise, you can just enjoy it for some few days. It can be free. Now, let's say, for example, this is what is a clavicle. So, let's say we are writing about a clavicle, or we are describing the clavicle for the practicals. So, what are we going to write? Remember, what is one of the most important peculiarity about the clavicle? It is the only bone in the body which is lying horizontal. It is the only bone in the body which is horizontal. Second important point, if you can see, it is an S-shaped bone. If you can see, it is a little bit about S-shape. It is S-shaped bone. And when you are talking about the description of it, it doesn't have a head, neck, shaft and the lower end because it's like a horizontal one. So we have a medial end and we have a lateral end. Now if you can also see properly, when you're talking about clavicle, it's the easiest bone we all should know, and have a medial end, we have a lateral end. When you see medial end properly, let me show it to you. Medial end properly. The medial end, if you can see, this is what is the medial end, is quadrangular in shape. Medial end is quadrangular in shape. You can see this one as a quadrangular in shape. Whereas lateral end, if you can see, is flat. If you can see, it is flat supero-inferiorly. This is the lateral end, it is flat supero-inferiorly. So, whatever points I am going to enumerate, only those points we are supposed to write. Book may have given lot many other points, but you are not supposed to describe that. So we discussed about the medial end and lateral end. Let's also talk about the other part of it. Let's say, for example, this word becomes a medial end, this becomes a lateral end. It is a S shape, so we can also divide the clavicle into medial 2/3 and a lateral 1/3. Medial. You can see medial 2/3 is convex anteriorly. Medial 2/3, if you can see, this is a convexity anteriorly, whereas lateral 1/3 is concave anteriorly. I am talking about the shape. Of the clavicle. So medial 2/3 is convex anteriorly. Lateral 1/3 is concave anteriorly. It is this medial 2/3 that is palpable. It is the subcutaneous part of the clavicle, which is palpable in thin individuals, of course. In obese individuals, it may not be palpable. We have a lot of muscle attachments here, but I am going to be talking about it little later. What we have in the lower side, you can see what we have in the lower side. We have a small groove. If you can see properly, there is a very small groove here. So it is where the subclavian vessels are. Subclavian vessels as well as subclavius as a muscle. Subclavian vessels are located here. So we can mention those points in the lower end, in the lower surface. What are the joints it takes part into? Remember, this part of the clavicle, medial end, articulates with manubrium. It articulates with manubrium, part of the breastbone or chest bone. So this is also called as manubrium is a part of the sternum, so it becomes a sternoclavicular joint. Sternoclavicular joint. Whereas lateral end is articulating with the acromion process of the scapula. Acromion process of the scapula. It also takes part into indirectly with the ligaments with the help of a shoulder joint. So it articulates with the acromion process acromioclavicular joint called as acromioclavicular joint. So medial part articulates with sternum to form a sternoclavicular joint. Lateral part articulates with the acromion process of the scapula to form an acromioclavicular joint. Acromioclavicular joint. Itna description will be more than enough for you to remember. Then we have the muscles. Which are the muscles which are attached? Let's say, for example, let's go one by one. This is what is the sternal end of the clavicle. This is the shaft of the clavicle, as you can see. This particular is a conoid tubercle. You can see properly. You see that? A small tubercle, also called a conoid tubercle. We also have this particular is an acromial end of the clavicle. The acromial end of the clavicle where the acromion process is getting attached. We also have few points in the medial end. Let me see. Yes. We have a sternal facet of the clavicle. Medial end, if you can see properly, medial end of the clavicle has got two important facets. One facet is the sternal end of the clavicle, whereas the other facet, if you can see, is the sternal facet of the clavicle. Sternal end as well as sternal facet. Sternal end as well as sternal facet. These applications are good if you know the theory so that you can revise it quickly. You can revise it through quickly. Let's see what exactly lateral end has got. Lateral end has got, if you can see, acromial facet of the clavicle. Where we have acromion process is getting attached. If you can see, this is what an acromion process is getting attached with the acromial end of the clavicle. Acromial end of the clavicle. So, this is the description we are supposed to remember. Let's go to the muscles. Which are the muscles which are attached to the clavicle? You must have been aware about. There is this. Yes. There is a. We have a deltoid is attached here. We have a pectoralis major attached here. We have deltoid coming up in the medial border. We also have below the clavicle we have a subclavius. Here we have a small muscle called a subclavius. You can see here we have a subclavian groove kind of, if you can see properly. We also have subclavian groove where we have subclavian muscles are there with the shaft of the clavicle. Conoid tubercle we just had a word about. And the other acromial ends of the clavicle. So all those things we are supposed to write in case of clavicle if it is asked. Then finally we have upper lid. Clavicle is the very common bone to get fractured. The reason behind that is a subcutaneous bone, so it can also get fractured very easily, very commonly. It is the only horizontal bone which connects the upper limb to the axial skeleton. It is the bone which is connecting the upper limb to the axial skeleton. So if you are holding any bucket in the upper limb, the weight of the bucket is transmitted to the central part of the skeleton through the clavicle. Through the clavicle. It's so important. It is because of that it is a very important bone which can be remembered. So this is the way it is supposed to be discussed. First discuss about the bony parts, then discuss about the muscles, then discuss about the other aspect of the bone. Typically, we also have the humerus that can also be very commonly asked. Now, the humerus is a typical bone. If you can see, let me zoom it. Humerus is a typical bone which is a long bone. So again we have head, we have a neck, we have a shaft, and we have a lower end. Remember, head of the humerus is only 2/6 of the circle. Now it is very important thing to understand, and because of that the joint that is it is getting formed with the scapula is a weak joint comparatively because it is not a complete circle. It is not a complete circle. So the very small part of the humerus is seen as an head. If you can see, let me zoom this. The thing that is getting, if you can see, this is what is. We have articulations. Okay. So this is what is the humerus. If you can see, we have some markings on this. We have some markings on this. Yes. Let me talk about the head. This is what is the head. It is not complete circle. We also have, this looks like the head ends here. So this should be a neck. But if you see properly, neck should be a narrow portion. Neck should be a narrow portion. So I can say A looks like a neck, but B also looks like a neck. B also looks like a neck. So humerus is a bone which has got two necks. Anatomical neck and a surgical neck. The reason behind anatomical and surgical neck, because at one position you can see some neck-like portion. If you can see properly, if you can see surgical neck of the humerus. So this one is a surgical neck. But anatomical neck ये वाला है. Anatomical neck is where the head looks like ending here. If you can see, anatomical neck is here. So this I am going to mark with the crisscross line is the anatomical neck. And the one I am going to mark with the straight lines is the surgical neck. This is very commonly asked in the Viva. Anatomical neck as well as a surgical neck. What is an anatomical neck in case of humerus? What is a surgical neck in case of humerus? So anatomical neck is where the head ends and the other part of the bone starts, whereas surgical neck is when the narrowest portion which looks like a proper neck, surgical neck. Into the surgical neck, here we have an axillary vessels which are there, axillary nerve which is there. It is very important surgically. It is very important surgically. So we have anatomical neck, we have a surgical neck. What we can see here is a major elevation here is a minor elevation here. So it is also called as a greater tuberosity and a lesser tuberosity. Let me show it to you. Yes, it is also called as crest of the greater tubercle. This is what is a greater tubercle. So this becomes a greater tubercle or a tuberosity. Greater tubercle, or I can say tuberosity. Here we have a lot of muscles which are getting attached, and this particular portion is the crest for the greater tuberosity. Crest for the greater tuberosity. So similarly we also have a lesser tuberosity. If you can see, lesser tubercle or lesser tuberosity. This is the lesser tubercle or tuberosity, as well as this one can be the crest of the lesser tubercle. This one can be the crest of the lesser tubercle. So there are so many points which are there here which we can explain during the exams. And what is this blue portion? What you are trying to see here is the articular disc, articular cartilage, which is covering the head for lubrication, for lubricating purpose. So we have the articular disc which prevents the friction, which is for the lubrication purpose. Which is for the lubrication purpose. Just give me a minute. Yeah. All these are the muscles which are getting attached. Let me come to the muscles later on. Let me first talk about Yes. So these are the portions or points which are there in the upper end. Then we have a shaft. As you can see, shaft is more or less circular. It is said it is a triangular in nature. And here we have a small elevation in the shaft where the deltoid muscle is inserted, commonly also called the deltoid tuberosity. Commonly also called as a deltoid tuberosity. The deltoid tuberosity is the small elevation which is there in the middle part of the shaft. The middle part of the shaft, and we can also see a small groove here. Yes, you can easily see a small groove. Is a radial groove. Yes, this is the groove through which a radial nerve passes through. Groove through which a radial nerve passes through. Radial groove. A small groove here. And remember, it is very near to the bone, so it is very commonly involved in case of fractures of the humerus. It is very commonly involved. And remember, it is, you must have read about it, called as Saturday night palsy. Saturday night palsy is because of injury to this nerve, which is very much near to the bone in the radial groove. In the radial groove. So let's come to the lower end. Lower end has got so many things which are important. Yes, let's come to the lower end. Let me rotate this. Yes. Let me zoom as well as. So lower end has got so many things which are important. When the humerus lower end is going to start, we have it becomes more broad, as you can see. The shaft is becoming more broad, and when it is becoming more broad, the two crests which are very commonly seen, if you can see here, we have a medial supracondylar ridge. This is the medial end, this is the lateral end. So we have a medial, this is called the medial condyle, lateral condyle. Medial condyle ये है, lateral condyle ये है. Condyle, medial condyle के ऊपर is we have a medial supracondylar ridge. Medial supracondylar ridge is a small elevated portion which is there, flattened portion. Also on the other side we have, you can see the lateral supracondylar ridge. Here we have a lateral supracondylar ridge. Here we have so many muscles which are getting attached in this particular location. This is the, you can see the small fossa kind of thing here. It is also called as an olecranon fossa. Just give me a minute. Let me. Yes, olecranon fossa. Because here we have olecranon process of the ulna comes into here when you extend the hand. It is a fossa for accommodating the olecranon process of the ulna. Olecranon process of the ulna. So this becomes a posterior portion of the humerus. Here we have a groove for the ulnar now, if you can see. This is again very important. A small groove here, just behind the medial epicondyle. Remember, ulnar nerve is palpable behind the medial epicondyle, and it is passed through the humerus bone. This is the medial epicondyle. उसके just पीछे से it passes through. So this is the groove for the ulnar nerve. We can very easily palpable, especially we can palpate it during the leprosy and all those things. It can be palpable very commonly. Then we have, yes. Of course, there is a mistake in the animation. This is not a groove for the ulnar nerve. This is the capitulum. This is the capitulum, and this is the trochlea. Capitulum articulates with the head of the radius. You can head of the radius here. Head of radius. Capitulum articulates with head of the radius. And trochlea, which is the slanting portion or oblique portion articulates with the ulna. With the ulna. Remember, ulna is the medial bone, so it is below the medial epicondyle. Below the medial epicondyle. So let me repeat it again. What are the enumerations in this? This becomes the medial supracondylar ridge. This is the lateral supracondylar ridge. This is the median epicondyle. This is the lateral epicondyle. This is the olecranon fossa. This is the capitulum. This is the trochlea. This is the trochlea. So these will come the enumerations on the posterior surface. Posterior surface of the lower end of the humerus. You may also take the screenshots in between so that you can keep it for your reference. Keep it for your reference. Then let's go to the anterior side. Yes. Let's come to the anterior side. Yes. Let me zoom this so that we all can understand. Let me rotate it a little bit. Okay. If you consider the rounded portion, again the same thing we have already enumerated. We have, yes. We come to the anterior side. Yes. So this becomes the, yes, this becomes the capitulum. This is the trochlea. This is the medial epicondyle. This is the lateral epicondyle. This is the lateral supracondylar ridge, medial supracondylar ridge. So the opposite one, sorry, this is the medial, this is the lateral. So same thing what we have seen in the posterior side. In the posterior side. Let's come to the muscles which are there attached to the humerus. If you can see, we have some muscles which are marked in blue color, some muscles which are marked in red color. So we have, yes. So we have some muscles which are attached to the greater tuberosity. All these diagrams are also there in the books. We just have to enumerate some of the muscles. Like for example, we have here we have insertion of supraspinatus. If you can see, yes. You can also take a screenshot in between. Here we have a supraspinatus. Here we have a subscapularis. So we have a supraspinatus here. We have a subscapularis here. Then we have, remember here we have a lady between two majors. If you can see properly, this is one of the ridge, this is the other ridge. Here we have a pectoralis major. Sorry. Here we have, excuse me. Here we have a teres major, and in between that, in the groove, we have latissimus dorsi. This is a very important relation we all must understand. This is also called as a lady between two majors. Lady between two majors. मतलब दो मेजर के बीच में लेडी बैठी है. मेजर स्टैंड्स फॉर पेक्टोरालिस मेजर एंड टीरिस मेजर, और उसके बीच में लेडी का मतलब लैटिसिमस डॉर्सी. Latissimus dorsi is how we can remember as the muscle attachments. You can also take the screenshot if you want. Between two majors, lady between two majors. If you can see the bright red portion here, let me show it to you. We have an insertion of the latissimus or deltoid, because at the deltoid tuberosity, if you can see, attachment of the deltoid. Here we have insertion of deltoid. as a deltoid tuberosity. Here we have a deltoid tuberosity ka insertion. Whereas from the shaft we have some other muscles also originating. As you can see the red portion, this must be a brachialis. Yes, right. A brachialis muscle. So how will you remember that? Brachia. Brachia stands for arm, or brachii stands for arm, let's say for example. So brachialis. Everything which is in relation to the arm is named after a brachii. Like for example, we have a brachial plexus. To understand the terminology, we have brachialis muscle. We have a biceps brachii. We have a brachial artery. We have a coracobrachialis. We have a brachioradialis muscle, of course. As you can see, all those are named after brachii. Brachii का मतलब है arm. So anything which is in relation to the arm is named after a brachii. Brachial plexus. It is a plexus of the nerve which is there above the arm. Brachialis is the muscle. Biceps brachii. Again brachii. Why biceps? Because it has got two heads. Because it has got two heads. It's very simple to understand. Then we have brachial artery. It's a continuation of an axillary artery. Coracobrachialis. Again a muscle which is coming from coracoid process going to the arm. This is how we can remember. This is how we can make the anatomy little bit more interesting. So we also have, let's say we have some other muscles. Let me come to the lower end. This is the origin of medial head of the triceps posteriorly. Medial head of triceps. Yeah, and here you all must see the radial groove again, because in the practical they may ask you to show the radial groove. In practical they may ask you to show the radial groove. Okay, let me show it to you. Yes, this is what is a small groove here. 1 second. Okay, so this becomes a small groove. This is a radial groove. Again, it is very common to be asked during the practicals. Let's come to the muscle attachments on the lower end. Two very important points of the humerus is the lateral epicondyle and a medial epicondyle. Now remember, lateral epicondyles say and medial epicondyles say all the muscles of the forearm are originating. I am talking about forearm right now. Just give me a minute. Oh madam. Oh. बापरे, मला तर अजून उलट लेबर लागणार आहे. नाही ना, एक तर ऑलरेडी एक एक्सपायर झाली. त्याच्यानंतर 7 दिवसाचे माझ्याकडे मॉर्निंगला मी 2 ठेवले आणि सगळ्या शिफ्टला 2 ठेवले. सगळ्या शिफ्टला 2 लागतात. 2 फ्लोअर आहेत ना खाली वरती सगळं करायला. नाही मागतो काढलं तर अजूनच प्रॉब्लेम होतो. हां, 2 लागतात म्हणा. आता तिसरं इंच्यात असं म्हणतात की 2च ठेवायला लागतील, कारण वरती खाली सगळं करावं लागतं वगैरे. आणि मग मध्ये लेबर वगैरे आली तर प्रॉब्लेम आहे. नाही, फिमेलचं लागतील ऍक्च्युली. मी सिस्टरांशी बोलून तुम्हाला सांगतो. मी बोलतो त्या सिस्टरांना. मला तर बोलत मी बोलत गावाला फोन करून मला अजून एक ऍडिशनल नाही म्हणून मी त्याला बोलतो. ठीक आहे, मी सिस्टरांशी तुम्हाला सांगतो काय करतो. ठीक आहे. So all the muscles of the forearm are originating from medial and lateral epicondyle. So one thing you all must understand, the common sense again is very important to understand it. Medial epicondyle say all flexors of the wrist are getting originated. So medial epicondyle is also called as a common flexor origin. You all must understand this. It's also called as common flexor origin. Whereas lateral epicondyle is the place where all extensors are getting originated. It is also called as common extensor origin. अभी common flexor कौन से हैं? There are muscles like for example flexor carpi ulnaris, flexor carpi radialis, palmaris longus, flexor digitorum superficialis, flexor digitorum profundus, pronator teres. All are originated from medial epicondyle. Of course, you will have to learn all those things. So we are teaching for so many years, so we know. But all those things you will have to by heart. There is no other option, is what we can say. There is no other option, what we can say. Common extensor we have extensor carpi radialis, extensor carpi ulnaris, extensor digitorum superficialis, extensor indicis, extensor digiti minimi. All those muscles are getting originated from. So don't by heart the origin of all those muscles separately. You just have to remember the way it is. You just have to remember the way. So common flexor, common extensor, common flexor, common extensor. और एक common sense बताता हूँ. All common flexors का nerve supply is a median nerve. अलग अलग याद रखने की जरूरत नहीं है. And all extensor का nerve supply is a radial nerve. Is the radial nerve. So if you can see, if you relate and compare and understand like this, then it becomes very easy to write also during the exams. Remember also during the exam. I have talked about in the beginning only. Anatomy is 60% common sense. So if you follow that common sense, it is easy to understand the whole anatomy. The whole anatomy it is easy to understand. And then finally we have the applied. Again, fracture of the humerus, dislocation of the shoulder joint, all that comes under applied part of this. Applied part of this. You can take a screenshot right now. You can also share it on the group. Somebody gets benefited, we are happy. Somebody gets benefited, we are happy. Okay. So this was the muscle attachment. Let's go to the other bone. Let's go to the scapula. Let's go to the scapula. 1 second. Just give me a minute. Let me set it properly. Okay. Okay. Let's first go to the bony landmarks. This is what is now. Remember, this is also, I can say, I still remember when I was in the first year, most of the students like scapula so much. And when you are asked about an option, कोई तो एक bone उठाओ, describe करो, you usually take a scapula because it is easy to describe. It's not complicated to describe because this is the only bone which is triangular, if you can see. It is triangular in shape, and being a triangular, it has got 3 angles, it has got 3 borders, it has got 2 surfaces. So this becomes a lateral angle, this becomes a superior angle, or I can also say medial angle, this becomes an inferior angle. This becomes a lateral border, this becomes a medial border, this becomes a superior border. जहाँ पे ये spine दिख रहा है, this is the posterior surface. It is also called as a dorsal surface. 2 surface है ना? Yes, it becomes a dorsal surface, and other is a costal surface. See what you all can do after understanding this, because anatomy can only be understood by a revision. But when you have understood it, you can also form a small groups and discuss the bones among yourself. Ask him to describe, or you all can take one bone and everyone describe one bone. We used to do it, of course. Of course, today's scenario you cannot make a group physically, but you can also make a group online where you can discuss the bones, and it is very easy to learn when somebody else is describing it, because the applications are also there on online within a free form, but still you require somebody to describe it, then it becomes easy. So you also make a small groups and you can also discuss the bones among yourself. That can really help. So you've got 3 angles, 3 borders, 2 surfaces. Abhi, once you understood about the anatomy, कौन सा medial है, कौन सा lateral है, then it is easy to understand. Glenoid cavity जो है, वो lateral ही है, so this becomes all lateral. Where the humerus is getting attached. So we have 3 angles, 3 borders, 2 surfaces. Costal surface is attached to the ribs, and dorsal surface is what is the spine of the scapula is there. Where the spine of the scapula is there. Let's discuss the portions or points. If you can see, this is what is the lateral border, this is the medial border, this is the inferior angle, this is the superior angle. This becomes the glenoid cavity के पीछे tubercle. Let me describe this. Let me have a little bit zoomed portion. This is the glenoid cavity, if you can see properly. A glenoid cavity. This is the glenoid cavity, where we have this particular blue color portion, which was also there on the head of the humerus. It is an acetabulum, it is a labrum, or you can say articular disc, to prevent the friction. Abhi glenoid cavity के ऊपर, here we have a tubercle called as a supraglenoid tubercle, and low down here we have a tubercle. This one is called an infra. What is infra? Means niche glenoid tubercle. Supraglenoid as well as infraglenoid tubercle. Supraglenoid tubercle and supra मतलब ऊपर, because here we have muscles are coming up. Supraglenoid tubercle से आएगा, we have biceps. Infraglenoid से we have a triceps. This is how we can remember, comparing with it. We can also remember it by comparing with each other. You can remember. We have 2 processes, if you can see. Yes, this one is a coracoid. So this is not glenoid cavity. This is a coracoid process, right? This one is a coracoid process, and this one is an acromion process. 2 processes, which gives attachment to so many ligaments. Coraco-acromion ligament, coraco-humeral ligament. Acromion process gives rise to attachment to so many muscles, as well as ligaments. So it is easy to understand. This is one becomes a lateral end, where we have glenoid cavity, coracoid process, and acromion process. This one is the spine of the scapula, as you can see. This one is a, let me show it to you in a second. Yeah. Yes, this is what becomes a deltoid tubercle, where we have attachment of the deltoid, and this becomes a coracoid process as well as acromion process. Yes, this is an acromion process. You can see acromion process. So this spine of the scapula divides the posterior surface into two parts. ये वाला एक part and this other वाला एक part. So जो स्पाइन के ऊपर है उसको बोलते हैं सुप्रा स्पाइनस फोसा, और जो नीचे उसको बोलते हैं इंफ्रा स्पाइनस फोसा. Again you can compare and you can remember it like supraspinous fossa, infraspinous fossa. यहाँ पे अपने पास supraspinatus muscle है, यहाँ पे infraspinatus muscle है. So how we can remember easily. And this particular surface, which is concave, if you can see, is a coastal surface. You can see it is a coastal surface. Also called a subscapular fossa. Also called as a subscapular fossa. Let's come to the muscles which are getting attached to the scapula. Again, it is easy to remember. Yes, let me have. This is what is a supraspinatus, infraspinatus. We have origin of the supraspinatus. In the BD Chaurasia, I think red color is for insertion, blue is for origin. इसमें एनिमेशन में थोड़ा उल्टा है. Red is origin. I don't know in the recent edition of BDC what is there, but usually red color is for insertion. In the previous edition, infraspinatus. You can also see the spine of the scapula gives rise to. We have origin of the deltoid, as well as upper is a. Yes, upper is a trapezius. This is a supraspinatus, of course. But here we have a blue color as the trapezius ka insertion, right? So over the spine of the scapula, this one is an insertion of trapezius, whereas low down we have origin of deltoid. Again, very important thing you can be asked very commonly in the vivas. Very commonly in the vivas. Let me have the coastal surface also. Lateral border se we have teres major and teres minor. Let me say yes. This one is a teres minor muscle. This one is a teres major muscle. कौन सा वाला? ये वाला major है. ये वाला minor है. कौन सा teres? Major as well as minor. Whereas in the low down we have a small muscle. It is coming from posteriorly. In this fossa, if you can see, of course, let me have, yes, this one is a subscapularis, जो fossa के अंदर है. We have ये वाला subscapularis. Subscapularis. उसके angle में सबसे नीचे we have latissimus dorsi, but they are not showing it. They may also show it. सबसे नीचे. Yes, latissimus dorsi, showing it. This one is a latissimus dorsi. Becomes a latissimus dorsi. So this becomes the muscle attachments of the scapula. Of course, I'm not going to load more things to you. Now you can also download some of these applications which are free for some time. You can also quickly revise. We have already purchased it, so it can be remembered for a longer time. Let me switch on the question answer session right now. If you have any doubts, let's say
started.
yes, if you have any doubt, you can just raise your hands. Okay, nobody has a doubt? Okay, ठीक है. So now let's continue with in the next lecture we can have some other bones, and then we can have organs, etc.
Over.